Intel is finally ready to take the workstation market by storm, and they brought a monster to the fight. Today, we are reviewing the Intel Arc Pro B70 in all its glory. This card is based on the brand new Battlemage Xe2 architecture, and it is packing a massive 32GB frame buffer. But can it actually trade blows with the reigning champions like the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090? We have run the numbers, and the results might just shock you. Let us dive in. Pulling this card out of the box, you can tell Intel means business. The B70 has a sleek, professional look with a 2-slot design and a length of 10.5 inches. It feels incredibly dense and well-built at 1,020 grams. It is much more refined than the early Alchemist cards. Inside the box, you get the card, some standard documentation, and that is about it. This is a bit different from the Arc Pro B50 since it doesn't come with a low-profile PCIe bracket. It is powered by a single 8-pin power connector, which is a breath of fresh air compared to the massive cables required by high-end NVIDIA cards. On a different note, it looks exactly like the Arc Pro B50 that was released a while back, just bigger and beefier. Let us look at the technical specifications. The Arc Pro B70 features 32 Z-cores and 32 ray tracing units. The standout feature is the memory, 32 GB of GDDR6 VRAM with error correction code support, running on a 256-bit interface. It supports PCI Express 5.0 and features dual multi-format codec engines, which are dedicated hardware for AV1, H.265, and H.264 encoding. Our test bench for today is a powerhouse. An AMD Ryzen 9 7950X, 64 GB of DDR5 6,000 megatransfers per second RAM, and a Gigabyte X670E Aorus Master motherboard. This is where things get interesting. In the PugetBench basic run for Davinci Resolve Studio, the Arc Pro B70 actually outperformed the RTX 4090. The B70 scored 138,751, while the 4090 trailed slightly at 138,264. However, if you switch to the standard run, then the 4090 pulls ahead by more than 30,000 points. For Davinci Resolve Studio, scrubbing 1080p timelines and 2160p timelines are very smooth for both cards, and this is where I feel like they are evenly matched. However, for raw render times, the 4090 still holds the crown. For a 4-minute YouTube preset at 1080p, the B70 finished in 1 minute and 12 seconds, while the 4090 took only 54 seconds. When we added 2x AI upscaling, the gap widened significantly. The 4090 finished in 13 minutes and 15 seconds, while the B70 took 35 minutes and 10 seconds. The performance for the same clip render in YouTube 2160p resolution yields similar results, with the 4090 still pulling ahead. It is clear Intel's media engines are elite for standard editing, but NVIDIA still leads in raw AI-assisted compute. It should also be noted that Davinci Resolve is heavily optimized for NVIDIA cards. Due to some of your requests, I added a comfy UI benchmark into the barrage of tests. The benchmark involves me setting up Comfy UI to produce 4 1024 by 1024 images at 50 steps each. Each are injected a random seed to force rendering work on the GPU. I run the test several times to avoid a cold start where the time it took to load the model into the GPU memory is included in the total rendering time. So the score you see on screen are actually warm start time that is purely from generating those 4 images. For the results, generating those 4 images took the 4090 28.25 seconds. The B70 followed at 40.32 seconds. For large language models, that 32GB VRAM buffer is a game changer. We tested DeepSeek R1 8B, and it flew at 149.74 tokens per second. Keep in mind that all of these benchmark scores are with the context token size for each model fully allocated on the GPU. We even pushed it with the Gemma 431B model. While it only achieved 7.57 tokens per second, the fact that it can run a model that large at all on a single card is incredible for this price bracket. Even though this is a Pro card, we know you want to game on it. So we tested the games at max settings with XESS set to quality with no frame gen. Results are from an average of multiple runs. In Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p, we saw a massive 121 frames per second average. Remnant 2 at ultra-wide 1440p gave us 69 frames per second. And Civilization 6 at ultra-wide 1440p ran at a silky smooth 117 frames per second. I am genuinely impressed with these results, especially for this price bracket. And given that it's not even marketed for gaming, this card is more than capable of handling high-end gaming when you are off the clock. Now, let us talk about efficiency. At idle, the B70 system draws 306 watts compared to the 4090 at 378. Under full power, the difference is staggering. The Intel system draws 522 watts, while the 4090 system pulls a massive 747 watts from the wall. Take these measurements with a grain of salt because they are just total system power draw at the socket with the same game and load to simulate the power draw. Random background tasks could have skewed it a little bit, but it should at least give you a ballpark of their power draw differences. However, we have to address the elephant in the room: driver stability. Reddit communities have frequently pointed out that Intel's professional certification lags behind NVIDIA. While we did not have crashes in Resolve, some specialized CAD software might still see some quirks. Intel is working on it, but it is something to keep in mind if your livelihood depends on a specific niche plugin. In other words, if you decide to go with Intel, make sure you are ready to deal with the growing pains. The Intel Arc Pro B70 is a fascinating piece of hardware. It brings professional features and massive VRAM to a much more accessible price point, in all its glory. If you are a video engineer or someone working with large language models on a budget, this card is an absolute steal. It is not an RTX 4090 killer in every category, but for video encoding and high VRAM AI tasks, it is a legitimate contender. I will be testing this with OpenClaw in a video soon, so keep out for it if you are interested in that usage scenario. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the Intel B70. If you found this data helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hardware analysis. Would you trust an Intel Pro card in your workstation, or are you staying with Team Green? Let me know in the comments below. I will see you in the next one.